What's up guys, it's Mac. We're back. We're out here on Lake Ethpap again. Finally got my days off here. Been a long grind for the month of, well, most of the month of June and almost all of July. But we're out here, gonna make some stuff happen. Today, I'm gonna do a video talking about the lake trout do's and don'ts. We're gonna try to get on some fish, get them jigging, and explain to you guys the importance of things you want to do for lake trout fishing and things you don't want to do for lake trout fishing. So stay tuned, hope you guys enjoy. Switch this back over to here. Let's see how this goes. Come on. Film, they say, it'll be fun. So you see all the freaking batteries and wires and nightmare that comes along with it. Enjoy it. Okay, there we go. Not bad, not bad. Dropping down, you can see my jig coming down there. See if these fish show some interest, hopefully. Oh yeah, that one's already shooting up. Oh, look at them all three of them are coming up. Holy man, look at them all. It's like a volcano of fish. Oh, that one flew up. That one's on. Hammered that one. Lost him, missed him. So that's a good example there. For one of the things of like for the don'ts for lake trout fishing, don't expect to land everyone you get to bite. Missed that one too. Lake trout are a very difficult fish to hook and keep hooked. So unlike walleye or pike or anything a lot of people fish for, lake trout, you're probably going to land maybe 2/3 of the ones you actually hook. So don't be discouraged when you're losing a decent amount of fish. It happens to the best of us. Especially guiding, I see all the time, like you honestly probably land half as many fish as you hook. So don't get discouraged by losing fish, missing fish. You're gonna miss a lot of lake trout. They're super fast fish, super aggressive fight, very erratic. So they're very, very good at shaking hooks. So don't be discouraged. Those fish are loaded right now. There we go. That one hit it on the way up. Not a big fish by any means, but it's a lake trout. There he is. White tube. This is the new white he's come out with. This is a super bright white, super solid. You can't see any light through it at all. So I think that's kind of what you want in the deep water, something that has a solid outline. There's the first fish. Nothing crazy, nothing special, but a lake trout. Fat little chunky guy. Get back down there. Looks like there's quite a few more down there, so won't waste any time. So the number 2 don't on the lake trout do's and don't list is hold your rod properly. Don't be pistol gripping. You don't want to be pistol gripping like this. You just don't get a strong hook set. The same goes for the winter too. Summer and winter, don't pistol grip. Hold your rod strong. You want to be able to have that handle under your arm so you can give a good strong hook set. If you're pistol gripping, you're just not going to have a very strong hook set. And it's important to have a handle that you can stick under your arm to give you a bit more leverage. I see it all the time, people pistol gripping and stuff. It's like, man, those fish are in deep water. They got a super hard mouth. Hold your rod properly so you can get a proper hook set on those things. It's like three, four fish down there for sure. One's chasing still. Showing a bit of aggression, but not too much. Oh, bumped it. Another example, you're not going to land every fish that bites. Probably going to get a lot of those today. There we go. That one came up and hammered it. Oh, lost him right there. Example number 3. Another thing on the lake trout's do's and don'ts list is tie direct. Always tie your baits direct. Try to stick away from those snaps and snap swivels. Just one less thing that can let go on a big fish. Always keep it simple. Tie direct. You can run an inline swivel if you want, but even then, I recommend tying direct. I run inline swivels though just to eliminate line twist, but make sure you're using good terminal tackle. If you are using terminal tackle, don't cheap out. Buy good stuff. You don't want to waste an opportunity at a big fish on something stupid like that. But especially for baits, you want to tie direct because the baits, you want them to sit naturally in the water. If you have a snap on there, your baits aren't necessarily going to move properly in the water. I'm constantly adjusting the knots and the tubes to make sure that they're sitting horizontally. You don't want them sitting at a 45 or sitting at some random angle. You want them sitting natural, horizontal in the water, and you just don't quite get that with a snap. So tie direct. Don't risk it. Tie direct to your bait. There's one. That was right in the bottom. It was not focused at all. This might be a burbot. Feeling awfully burbot-like. Oh boy. Yep. Got ourselves a burbot. Burbot are a common thing to catch while lake trout fishing just because they kind of cohabitate in the same depths and stuff, but bit of an ugly mutt. Kind of like a salamander crossed with a catfish. Pretty ugly. Good eating though. We're gonna let this guy go. Oh God. So that's a good example. I was on the bottom, but one of my other things on the list is don't get stuck on the bottom. Don't just fish the bottom all day. It's important to work through the water, fish through the water. If you stick on the bottom all day, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities, I think, and you're honestly going to catch a lot more burbot too. But work through the water, still fish the bottom, but don't just get stuck there. Don't be glued to the bottom all day long. Fish through the water. It's a way more effective method than just sticking right in the bottom. You're drawing fish in. It's a more predatory or prey response. It's not just to come in and pick something up off the bottom. So don't be afraid to be aggressive and fish through the water. This is what I was talking about earlier when I was saying I adjust my knot constantly. After I caught that burbot there, you can see that that knot is slid up, so the tube actually sits like this in the water now. Whereas I changed that knot so it's at a 90 degree off the tube, and now it sits more horizontal like that in the water, and that's what you want. So now that the kind of chaos on the screen's kind of calmed down a little bit, like I'd say that brings me to the next point of one of the do's for lake trout fishing is you really want to have decent electronics. Don't come out expecting to do well with lake trout with really old electronics, something that's not that great. You want something that can get a good read, that can mark fish, and it'll tell you where your bait is. It's really important to have something that'll show you the bait, like your bait, your lure, and the fish. It's a really important, I think, it's a really, really valuable piece of equipment for targeting lake trout, and especially for dictating a bit of success with lake trout. There's days where I definitely can't get nothing to bite unless I'm getting it to chase through the water and visibly play around with it on the screen. It's just one of those things you kind of want to have in your back pocket at least. They're glued to the bottom right now. They're still down there, they're just really tight to the bottom. That's kind of a common thing with lake trout. After you start getting a few fish off of the school or off of the pod that you've marked and are fishing, they kind of go a little bit lazy, a little bit skittish at times. Similar to walleyes, they just kind of hunker down to the bottom a bit more, a little bit less aggressive, but they're still there. Just got to work on it a bit more. So that I know that they're still down there and they're not eating the 4-inch bait, what I'm going to do is I'm going to downsize to a 2-inch bait. That's one of the things I'd say is important too for lake trout is don't be afraid to downsize. It doesn't hurt to downsize. And on the same token as that, if you're using a bigger bait, don't expect to catch a lot of fish. A lot of fish will turn down a bigger bait because they simply just aren't looking for that bigger meal, or you're not working it properly. Smaller baits are a lot more forgiving in the sense that you can kind of work it however you want, and usually fish will still hit them. But bigger baits sometimes can be a little bit trickier to get fish to bite, especially if it's not being worked properly. So don't be discouraged if you're not catching a lot of fish with a bigger bait. Bigger baits are for bigger fish, but that being said, big fish will bite small baits as well. But don't be discouraged if fish are turning down a big bait. It's simply because the bait's just big. Try downsizing to something smaller, and I'm sure your success will definitely go up. Okay, so there you go. You can see that little 2-inch tube. This is a drop tine tube as well. Super awesome, super solid bait. One of my biggest confidence baits for catching lake trout in general. So I'm going to drop this down there and reel up the 4-inch one. See if that makes a difference. I'm not even going to put any bait on there. I'm just going to try it just bareback and see how that does for now. Get that out of the way. And let's try this 2-inch killer. The 2 inches down there. There's one chasing it. Missed it. It's coming up again. You see how there's just an instant change in mood as soon as you put down that smaller bait? It's quite bizarre, but it's pretty consistently like that almost every time. Whereas you jig a little bit bigger bait, you put something small down, and they just show so much aggression to it right away. There we go. That one hit the small tube pretty quick. Didn't take long. I'm using a different rod now. I'm using basically a heavy walleye rod. And that's one of the other things I recommend for the lake trout. One of the do's and don'ts is don't come under-prepared. Come with the proper equipment. You don't want to be using like an ultralight walleye rod for lake trout. You don't want to be using a crazy heavy musky rod for lake trout. You want something that's meant for it, something that can handle the kind of, I'd say, 1/2 ounce to even 2 ounce baits. You want something that's gonna get the job done, not something silly like a walleye rod or something way overkill like a heavy duty musky rod. Come with the right equipment to target the fish that you're after. There you go. You can see that 2-inch tube right in the side of the head. Perfect, just like clockwork. This guy's got some nasty teeth marks on him. See if we can do that again. Oh, missed that one. That one shot up out of nowhere. Oh, there's another one coming up. Missed it again. This one's like right under the boat right now. That one chased up like 30 feet. Another thing, I mean, I've mentioned it a lot in the past in other videos, but with lake trout, don't be afraid to be fast. They can outswim you no matter what. So don't be afraid to be fast with your baits. Don't be afraid to be aggressive. It's really important to keep that bait away from them. You'll get a lot more aggression out of those fish if you can keep that bait away. Keep it more of a prey response, or keep it more of a prey response so those fish act how they should, chasing a bait down and smashing it. The screen's getting loaded down there now. Oh, missed it. Missed it again. 3 swings and misses for that guy. You're out, bud. So as you can see now, there's a lot of fish that are chasing up and down but not committing. And that kind of brings me to point, I don't even know what number it is, but to the next point on the list is, don't expect to come out and smash them. Expect, especially for your first few times targeting lake trout, don't expect to smash them. It's going to take some time to learn them. They're a tough species to target, and they're a lot more technical, I'd say, than a lot of other species is. They require a bit of patience, they require some time, a little bit of finessing at times, but don't expect to smash them, expect to have to work at them. And especially for the bigger fish, you really got to work at them. Like I've said in the past videos where I've caught in big fishes, it's such a mental game. You just got to work at it and work at it and work at it. It's just the fish of putting in time. It's just similar to muskie. You just got to be out in the water, putting in the time to reap that reward of a big lake trout. It doesn't happen every day, but that's what keeps the legendary big lake trout up there, you know. They're a sought after species because they're a tough species to catch, especially the big ones. They're a novelty because you don't catch them every day. So that's what keeps you loving them. This one's charging. Come on, baby. Gonna try putting a minnow head on here. Alright, so just jammed a little minnow head in there. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit of scent. And that's kind of another good point too I could mention is, for bait for lake trout, is you don't necessarily need a lot of bait on your hook. If you're tipping your baits, and especially if you're moving your bait, just tip it a little bit. You don't want it to affect the action. You want just a little subtle bit of scent in there just to help get those fish to commit when they're chasing. You don't need something big huge glob of meat on there that's going to affect your bait and not make it look proper in the water. You want something that's just going to keep it streamlined, keep it moving. And some baits I don't even tip. Like I don't tip my rattle baits, I don't tip my spoons. The only thing I ever really tip is just tubes, and if I'm fishing like a jig and a plastic or something like that. So you don't necessarily need bait, but if you are using bait, don't go overkill. That one's screaming up to it. There we go. See, just a little bit of scent helps sometimes, but it's not necessarily needed. Just that little tiny minnow head is all I needed there, right? Probably the nicest one of the day so far. Look at all those bubbles coming up. That's awesome. It's always important to see them burping like that. Okay. So just by the skin of the teeth, got that guy. Just barely. That's the nicest one of the day so far, I would say. Oh god, jeez. Probably high 20s, I'd say. Nice fat one, nice fat gut. Crushed the little micro tube and the minnow head. Putting in work. Well, that's a wrap on today's video for the lake trout do's and don'ts. I know there wasn't any big fish, but the whole point of the video was to get the information across to the viewers that there's some things you just don't want to do in lake trout fishing, and there's some things that you just absolutely must have. And I appreciate you guys watching. If you watched all the way to the end, there'll be more content coming out here very soon. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. I appreciate the support. GoPro, stop recording.